Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video.
Well, it's the start of another work week and of course the beginning of another quarter. And once again, back here at Giga-Texas, and I want to say congratulations to Tesla for doing an amazing job with the number of produced and delivered vehicles for the second quarter and the stationary storage as well. Really an outstanding quarter, and everything is looking like it's going to be an even bigger one this quarter coming up. So a lot to look forward to. Now, over the last several days, Tesla has made several big announcements. The first is that Robotaxi unsupervised has now been expanded to the city of Miami. This is the first time it's in Florida, and it's going right away to the unsupervised status, which is great news. Now, we've been seeing a lot of cybercabs all over the country in multiple different states. It looks like they are positioning them for a lot more. So who knows, maybe we'll be hearing about that in the not too distant future. Now, another big announcement Tesla made this weekend was the introduction of the Model Y L, the longer version of the Model Y. This is something that has been sold over in China and Asia. It's been introduced over in Europe, and of course a lot of people here in the United States have been waiting for this larger version of the Model Y. So now it is available for order. It is being produced here at Giga-Texas, and with this short clip you can see some of them over in the outbound lot today, and we're just going to have to watch and see how fast these ramp up and what the reception is. Now, another announcement that Tesla made going back to Robotaxi service was here in Austin over the weekend. They had a demonstration for people that have disabilities or are blind. They got a chance to try out the Cybercab and the service itself and some of the features that Tesla has added in to help people that may be visually or orally impaired, or people that may be having some mobility issues. Also, if you have a service animal, they were showing how that would work as well. Of course, the Cybercab was front and center, and that was a great demonstration for that technology and what Robotaxi service can mean for a lot of people around the world that may have mobility issues, among a lot of other use cases that we're going to be hearing about in the not too distant future. Now, of course, Lars Moravy last week did say on the Herbert Ong show that something would be announced this Tuesday, which would be tomorrow. So we'll be watching to see what that could be. It seemed like it was specific to Giga-Texas, so I don't know if it was the Model Y L announcement or if maybe we're going to be hearing something else, because they have been working a lot inside the factory for new production lines, new models, and a lot more. So we'll find out tomorrow, and I'm hoping for really great news. The last thing that I want to talk about is my trip up to Idaho. I went there for Aalo Atomics, and it was for their major milestone. This is a new company stationed or headquartered here in Austin, Texas. They are vertically integrating a factory to build thousands of these small modular reactors. Up at Idaho National Laboratory this weekend was the big test. They needed to be able to demonstrate they could bring their reactor to something called critical status, which means that it is a self-sustaining fission reaction. And this is the first step towards having their product and having more demonstrations and proving out the technology that they are going to be employing with their series of modular reactors. And I can now say that they did in fact reach that milestone. It is a major one for not only the company, but for the country. And this fit in with the president's goal of having at least 3 new nuclear companies and reactors go critical before the 4th of July. Aalo was the 4th, and all of this happened within 2 weeks of that deadline. So great news for the country, great news for Aalo. I'm really excited about what they have achieved and what they're going to achieve, and I was just very honored to be there. So without further ado, let's get in the drone, let's fly around and see what Giga-Texas looks like today.
If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga-Texas. Well, here we are back at Giga-Texas, the start of another quarter, and we just finished up the 4th of July weekend, so a lot to cover. Of course, I was also up at Idaho for the last couple of days, so just been amazing, I don't know, half a week already. But here at Giga-Texas, we see the activity is picking up over at the outbound lot and the end of line. We even see some Cybertrucks starting their production run for today. On the left-hand side of the screen, the direct delivery center is getting geared up for more deliveries, as you can tell underneath the canopies, and more of the vehicles that will be going to the customers lined up here on the right-hand side of the screen. And more of them on the left coming underneath the drone. And we do see about 5 more Cybercabs. There's not as many Cybercabs out on the lot today. And as I pivot over past the figure 8 test track, you can tell that normally this is where we would see a lot of them. There's only one in the middle of the lot and none other to be seen on this part of the site, except for the one directly ahead of us. But most of those are now all over the country, and we are starting to see them pop up in multiple locations where we'll probably see the service very soon. But here is a grouping. Looks like they are getting some sort of a software update today with all the lights flashing. But next to them is the big news of the day, the Model Y Long. And here are several of them that have been just produced. This is being done here at Giga-Texas. They did have to modify and update the lines. That work began a few months ago, and it looks like it's now all ready to go. Now, I have been seeing Model Y Longs around Giga-Texas for the last several months, beginning with one of the bodies in a crate. I've seen a bunch of them over at the crash testing facility, and I've also seen a few more driving around. So this is great to be able to finally show you a lot of them here at the site. And they're very close to all of those kind of dusty Cybercabs that were parked nearby. So great news, especially for everybody wanting to have a larger Tesla vehicle. The Model YL is probably a great Model X replacement. Over on the material staging yard here on the west side, just a brief flight over just to see what has changed, if anything, over the last half a week. Not really. The biggest things, of course, is all of these transformers. I have been seeing more and more articles coming out about AI data centers and energy requirements, and the biggest limiting factor is transformers. And that could be up to several years from ordering until receiving them. That's one of the reasons why Tesla has been getting so far ahead with all the transformers. They purchase them and they get them here on site and store them until they are needed. And they are also building a lot of these superchargers. They're using that folding unit base. Many of them are on the ground here already assembled, and more in the workshop. As we cross over the power lines, we'll look at the test track. No real activity at the moment I was flying, except that we see that they are adding in what looks to be essentially cobblestone section of the roadway. Here's a close-in view. Looks like it's quite unlevel, and I think that's on purpose. This track, as you can tell, with all the rumble strips and different spacing and different heights, and maybe different frequencies, is all part of noise, vibration, harshness testing, and also active noise cancellation testing and calibration of the various cars and the systems. And then, of course, they have more here with these lanes. The outer track is used for more high-speed driving, but the rest with all these yellow dividers is for that NVH testing and active noise cancellation. And we're probably going to see more construction here in the middle part as they fill out the dirt path and probably put more asphalt in, maybe more of this smaller racetrack. That'll be something that we watch as things continue to develop, but the track is also getting more capabilities. This is where the robotaxi fleet that is used for the testing is parked and managed from. Looks like is not as many here as we have seen in the past week or two. And that may indicate that either they're swapping out vehicles or they're just been using them over the weekend and they have not returned. But I'll be watching for this to see what additional testing is going to be underway. And of course, there was reports of the Model Y Ls driving on the track this weekend as well. So I'm going to fly past the West Warehouse on Wheels, look back at the main factory, and before I cross over the road, I wanted to show you that there's a lot more of these trailers. Also, it looks like recycle trailers and some other vehicles parked on this dirt road that goes underneath the South Bridge. And I don't know if this is just overflow or if this is going to be a new permanent secondary access road, but it'll be something that I will monitor as time goes on. So we've crossed over the highway now. I'm going to bring the drone back down, show you what's going on with the horizontal drilling. And no activity at this time in the morning on a Monday after a long weekend, which is not unusual, but they will continue to do this work to drill underneath the Colorado River to be able to pull more of that HDPE pipe through to the other side where there's some similar equipment waiting for that to happen. I'm going to stay low past the fork in the road statue and looking back towards Cortex 1. Of course, that's where all of the training for the full self-driving computers is taking place. And this cooler plant coming into view is what helps keep those computers nice and cool as they are doing all that training. I did notice something here. I kind of zoom in at the plant, but I'm going to pivot the drone back towards the glass. There's a large broken pane. You can see the fence around it to protect people from possible broken glass. This has happened before, and I don't know if it's heat kind of compression that's happening because of the structure or the supports for the pane of glass or what, but obviously they're going to have to replace that. And fortunately, they have several other replacement panels already on site. This is a closer view of the activity and some of the materials right next to the stamping part of the building. Next to these two silos is the exit point for Cybercabs, and at the moment that I was flying, I did not see any. Again, this is early morning on a Monday. There's a Cybercab coming into view on the left, and everything is getting geared up. In this staging yard, you can see those three white tanks that are destined to go into body in white. I do suspect that the new opening on the east part of the wall is for those to go in, but I'll be watching to see if that is in fact the case. The water detention pond is now completely drained. You can see the liner. Keep that in mind because they're building another much larger pond over where the advanced chip fab is going to be built. In fact, that's coming to view at the top left, and eventually it'll look like a supersized version of that pond. And I'll continue to watch and see what they end up doing with that pond because it looks like they may not need it anymore, but we'll keep monitoring that. The outflow channel on the bottom of the screen is getting more and more defined. It goes underneath River Road's extension. This is where it picks up. I'll zoom in so you can see the work on the retaining walls and also the drainage pipes, and they're putting in these rebars for kind of that facing structure to hold all of these pipes together. And the walls are for that liner that will eventually allow this entire pond to retain water instead of being a detention water pond, which is used just for runoff. But it is quite massive, as you can tell, and I think that's because of the amount of runoff water that we get here under some of the very heavy rains, and it needs to be big enough to be able to act as a surge for all that water. Of course, River Road is looking very nice with the newly paved sections. The second lane kind of stops here next to the workshops, but the preparation for more of that paving is very evident on the right-hand side of the screen. These workshops continue to be employed and putting in work to build the pipes and manifolds, but this and the recycle center is going to have to eventually be leaving. You can see this dirt road that goes over the retaining wall for right now. That's for the equipment to go by, and we can see dirt's being brought in to raise the grade here on this side of the site to level it out. Of course, there's much more grade work going on throughout this entire section, plus some excavation work, starting to define a rectangle in the upper left. And as I keep the drone up higher altitude and fly around, we can see how much more of the steel materials will need to be relocated for this work to continue to expand across the site. And we'll start getting a better idea of what the actual footprint is for the new advanced technology chip fab. We do see some of the stormwater pipes being moved at the bottom of the screen next to that pavilion, and there's still more being stored waiting for its opportunity to be installed. Here's a higher altitude view of this excavation site, and we will come back in a little bit later in the video for a lower down different view of this. But it is a great kind of a higher altitude view to see the activity, plus some of the trench work on the right-hand side of the screen, and how this is starting to take shape. You can see how it encroaches into the east warehouse on wheels on the right-hand side of the screen, and more of the excavation work heading to the south. I'm going to stop here for a moment looking down. This is where the workshop and that steel structure used to be. You can just see the foundation. The rest has already been dismantled and moved away. And I think we're going to see a little later in the video where that is being relocated to. Of course, this is a good view of the staging yard here in the center part of the site, the parking garage on the left, and much of this is being used for the construction offices for many of the companies. Also, some of the temporary offices for security at the bottom left. At the temporary parking lot, there's just a few of the older engineering versions of the Cybercabs. The rest have been moved away, probably for recycling. As I come back to the east side of the building, just looking back towards where the materials are on the ground, this is more of some of the production lines that they have been adding in, and this looks like more production line equipment. Some of that in silver wrap probably are robotic assemblers. This is the cooling system for the thermoplastic injection molding machines, and it looks like there's a new construction walkway that was added next to the north side of that temporary platform. More materials along the side of the wall here as we get to the secondary main entrance. And of course, this is that new opening that we were talking about earlier. I think this is being prepared to bring those large white pipes or tanks in, probably a bunch of other modifications on the inside of the structure here. All of the receiving dock bases have been removed, and they're doing some excavation work on the apron. So that is continuing to maneuver or move around quite quickly as far as the construction that they are doing. And here's a good look at the casting and melt center for today, with many of the castings wrapping around the northeast side of the building. So I'm going to fly up over the roof back to the west side, and we'll resume near the main entrance. Bring the drone here down. So notice that there was a grouping of about 8 or 9 Cybercabs here, and I'll zoom in so you can get a better, closer view of these. These all have the Cybercab logos on them, which means that these are all without steering wheels or pedals. And maybe that's for some of the testing that they have been doing around Giga-Texas. You see those black tints on the bottom right? That's where they've been doing some simulated drop-off and pickups. And that also has another one on the northwest corner of the building. As we pass the main entrance, I wanted to show you that Model Ys are exiting the factory right now. There's one that just departed, and it's driving autonomously over to the outbound lot. Here's another one that is exiting right now. And this is the same location where the Model Y Ls will be exiting to, since they share the same production line. So really great to see that that is happening, adding more of the offerings from Tesla, and they're all being built here at Giga-Texas. I think Giga-Texas is going to have a lot of products being built here in the very near future. As we fly along the berm, one of the things I'm just sort of looking at right now is that there was a Model Y undercover here for a while, and now that has been moved. The cover is gone, and there's no need to keep trying to hide that, since it is now announced that the Model Y is being built here and for sale. Not a lot of activity here at the 4680 Recycling Center today, or at least at the time that we are flying. So I'm going to fly around the northwest corner of the building and take a look at what's going on with the 4680 cell portion. And what we do see is more of the equipment and work that is going on here inside those plastic temporary doors. And this is where we've been seeing ground slab rework, concrete rebar, and of course we can see some of the debris in the bins. We've also been seeing the last of the cabinets and other production equipment going into this part of the building. The north end of the plastics shows some of these racks, not a lot of plastic manufactured items yet, at least again at this time on a Monday. But I know that they are very busy in there, including adding in more of the inner layers for the exterior skin of the Cybercabs. We do see the Cybertrucks pulling these racks with Cybertruck castings, and all on the ground and on to the right-hand side of the screen, and I'll show you that here as I pivot the drone back towards the building, are all Cybertruck castings. Just take a look at how many of them there are. This is yet another sign that the Cybercab, our Cybertruck production is in the process of being ramped up, and we'll see what the big announcement is tomorrow. If Lars Moravi is accurate, that tomorrow is the big day. So hopefully we'll hear something more. Maybe it'll have to do with Cybertrucks. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section of the video. As we get further back to the east, good view of the Central Support Campus with the battery cathode plant, die shop, and Cortex 2. Of course, what I'm looking at here is more of these trailers have been added into this section of the site. I think this is also helping to relocate many of the operations that was on the east side for that joint venture advanced technology chip fab. We do see some markers put down on the dirt for more parking. And we'll watch and see if that's for contractor parking, which is what I think it will be. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I'll give you a lower end view of this earthwork that is underway, plus some excavation work on the north for some of those blue water pipes and some geopiers with some pier testing equipment right next to the Tesla Road extension. We also see some of these piles of dirt and that sign that was for the groundbreaking for the joint venture of this structure. As I pull back a little bit more, we see that dirt is being brought in to help with grade in this sort of infield section, and of course more of the preparation for River Road's extension and paving. And we do see some of that materials with that pavilion still by the trees on the left-hand side of the screen. So this is overall what this construction site looks like today. And they will continue to work on the grade for some time and relocating the materials before we'll start seeing the actual construction of this facility, which I think will be at the end of the summer. And here's a closer look at the excavation work, the geopier equipment, and the pier testing equipment on the ground next to the red and white barricades. So we fly over the tree here next to the east side of the battery cathode plant. I'll zoom in at the crash testing facility. And we have been seeing Model Y Ls being crash tested here along with the Cybercabs. And there is that semi at the bottom center of the screen right here. I'll give you a closer view of that. The cab is at the north part of the site by the fence on the kind of the right-hand side of the screen. This is what these new workshops and that temporary platform looks like today. And overall, what the activity here is at the crash testing facility. So I'm going to bring the drone up to a higher altitude. We're going to fly to the northeast over the River Road extension. You can see how well defined it is with this curve. And coming into view is where more of the stormwater pipes are being added in that will cross underneath the road. This will be helping to drain from the grassy area and the tree area on the right underneath the road to to the left tree area where it will drain over towards the Colorado River. As I continue to pull away, this gives you that better view of just how far River Road's extension work has progressed. And it's getting very close to going around this bend and through the trees into Lone Tree Field, which you can see at the top of the screen. We'll get closer views of this momentarily, but first, as I go over the trees, I wanted to show you the structure is being erected now. It's got part of the roof decking, about half of the steel beams and columns, and it looks like it's going to expand farther to the west here momentarily. The crane is in work with some of the steel erection that is going on. As I maneuver back around, great view towards the main factory, the battery cathode plant, and more of the workshops at the bottom right of the screen. And also some more of the earthwork that continues in the left-hand side of the screen. Also on the right, we see this pile of this lighter color gravel. It looks like they're slowly bringing the altitude of that down. As I maneuver back over here, you can see more of the dirt is being removed to level out the grade. And finally, in this section, we can now see they are extending the amount of earthwork towards the south, well past the silt fence that was originally there. And this just confirms to what I believe is happening, is that all of these trees, or the vast majority of them, will be removed to allow the Optimus factory's length of its foundation to extend much farther to the south than it is right now. And we'll see that here a little bit later. So right now I'm going to maneuver back towards the infield between the battery cathode plant on the left and the Cortex 2 on the right to show you the pier work that is continuing in this dirt section. They've been doing a lot of this work throughout the entire area. In fact, you can see some of the round depressions with the lighting through the middle part. And again, this suggests that there's going to be some sort of heavy construction here, and I'll keep watching to see what exactly they will be adding in, but they are certainly putting a lot of piers into that location. Much of the equipment and workshops on the north end of Cortex 2 have been moved away, as you can tell by the dirt, so that's an interesting development. Some deliveries of crates with blue tops next to this workshop where all the mega packs are being stored temporarily, and a great view across that construction site towards the battery cathode plant. As we get closer to part 2 of the Cortex 2's fan unit, you can see that most of the superstructure and fan units and drive units are all in, but the pipes and the manifolds connecting to the main structure are still not yet installed. This is what the new workshops, containers, and material staging yard looks like in this middle part of the site. You can see some of the pipes at the bottom of the screen. This is where they will most likely be relocating the workshops for all the pipes and manifolds that they're fabricating on the east side. Much of that work is going on the inside of Cortex 2 here. As we pass the megapacks and part 1 of the fan units, at the bottom of the screen on the ground, you can tell that they've removed some, but not all of the temporary chillers that have been in the process of being disconnected, but they are still there. But at least 9 of them that used to be there have been removed and taken off site. As we pass the south end of Cortex 2, we'll just briefly fly along the parapet wall, look at the installed megapacks and all the electrical systems and transformers along the part of the building with the cable trays that go up over the parapet wall. And then here is all the work in preparation for the extension of the megapack site. All of the beams on the screw type piers, and most of the transformers and electrical systems have been installed. As I pirouette over the northwest corner, this is what the trench work looks like on this part of the building. I suspect we're going to see more of the scaffolding and platforms extending further to the north to add more of the megapacks. This workshop is very close to where much of the conduit and concrete vault installation is underway. You can see that on the left-hand side of the screen, at the bottom of the screen, the center of the screen, and then off coming into view here at the south end of the switch yard. This connects into the third, or I guess would be the 6th of the control trailers. And this is going to be serving the north part of Cortex 2. So it looks like they've kind of split the conduit into two main parts. The part one, where the megapacks are already installed, and part two is where we saw all those screw type piers, the beams, and the work to prepare for more of the megapacks. On the north side of the switchyard, the new power poles still waiting for their turn to be installed. I'm curious where that's going to be. As I pivot towards the concrete batch plant, you can see more of the pipe segments on the left for those towers for the power lines. And this is what the operations look like here on this part of the site. So now, before we get to the end of the video, I'm going to relocate up to the far north, and we'll take a look at what is going on with the construction of Optimus's factory. I decided that I will pull back and come up to a higher altitude first to give you an overall view of what is going on in the south end. You can see how they're extending the dirt and tree removal to the south, and I think that's going to be all the way across, and then they'll continue to reclaim the soil that you see at the bottom of the screen with those vertical and linear hills and ponds. And then they'll get it all leveled off, graded, and then they'll be able to continue to extend the length of the slab of the building. Speaking of which, there has been a lot of work with footings, and it extends almost to the north end of the slab, and then down here to about the 2/3 of the existing slab, with more of the geopiers on the south end. This is what the footings look like. These are sort of low pedestal footings, and much of the dirt has been brought in to fill in on around those kind of pedestal parts of the footings. And we see more of this gray gravel has been brought in the middle side. And of course, more of the steel has been delivered here, prepared for installation with the 7 major cranes that are all at work. And I'll kind of maneuver on the east side, looking back to the west to show you how the structure is continuing to be built out. The floor decking is installed. With the zoom in, you can get a good sense of the scale with the workers and the height of the building. And right now it looks like there's at least 4 defined floors in this part of the site. We can see the roof structure is really taking place, and more of the columns are being installed heading up to the north. As you can see, kind of the projection of the building here in the center of the screen. This is going to continue to be built out to the north and the south, and they still need to go to the full width. So much more of the steel is yet to come. Here's a nice overall view back to the main factory of what the site looks like. You see the characteristic beveled edges on either side of the north end of the building, more of the rebar cages being assembled, and those are being maneuvered into the footing excavations that are happening here. We can also see at the bottom center of the screen, the first of the angled corner footings are being constructed. Here's a better view of the structure from the west looking to the southeast, more of the steel items on the ground. And I thought I would bring the drone up, kind of point it down and show you from a bird's eye perspective what this structure looks like and how it is all coming together. Of course, you can get a better view of the footing work on the south end and how much that has extended, plus the further earthwork to extend the building even more. So I'm going to kind of reposition the drone over to the Lone Tree Field while keeping a view on the structure, and we'll see what's going on where the steel material staging yard is located. As we pull away, this gives you a great view of the amount of steel that is staged here, waiting for its turn to be installed. It's kind of ringing around the edge of the staging yard 2, plus where it is in location to the Optimus factory. This is also a great opportunity to bring the drone to a higher altitude, look back across all of the construction sites to the main factory, and then beyond back to the test track that you could see at the top center of the screen. As always, thank you very much for watching and for your support. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Take care.